Just gonna wait for people to show up. Good afternoon. I guess it is still afternoon over there. It's 7:30 over here. I'm a little late. Went out to dinner with my dad, so was a little late. But they say, right? Better late than never, right? So, give me a second. Let people kind of wander in. Yeah, I know. For you guys, it kind of sucks. But you guys will get the Saturday stream. I mean, I was banking on that anyway. Kind of updating everybody on the Saturday stream. So, 100 degrees. Wow. That I think it's like 18°C here. So whatever that works out to. 64. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started. So let's see. Let's maximize this and let's bring up 21. There we go. That's the one. So I did some work this week. Got most of the stuff working. Some of it is not in the right spot, but it'll do. Let's just go for the top view. So all the carriages, the spider, everything is connected in the right spot except this rod holder, which I don't know why it decides to jump out of alignment. Let me bring it. Just jumps up here. I gotta fix that later, but doesn't affect the cool animation that we got. So let's go to the top view and see if this works. Let's go drag this. Oh, come on. Let's go drag this. Should be able to drag this. There you go. So, got this working. So that shows you how the characters interact with each other. So by moving the belts, we are moving the side characters, which move the spider to different spots on the print surface. So you could tell that we're not really hitting the edge of the print surface because the double pulleys are taking up too much space. So I have to figure out. I'm on the way to figure out how to fix that issue. But overall, the idea would work. So these pulleys in the right spot, right under the rod. So the belt will go here around this pulley, underneath the carriage, underneath this pulley, and back up and into the other side of the XY carriage. So everything lines up pretty good from what I've seen in the animation here. So I'm happy. The I printed the XY characters and need some adjustments. So the problem right now is these bolts are too close to the bevel edge, so there's not enough meat here. I have to move these a little bit more into from the corner. No big deal. We could fix that pretty quick. It's parameterized, so we could move that. The other one is I'll bring the motors back in. Let's see, here and here. So originally, I was going to mount the motor here, and the pulley, the pulley on the stepper was going to drive this pulley down here, and turn this axle, which then this pulley would turn the other side. The problem with this is that in order for this to work, I have this much distance between these two to fit this pulley in here, and one of the rules I wanted to enforce was that all the stuff that I need is inside the enclosure. So this gap is roughly 45-50 millimeters. So that's taking away a lot of the travel for these XY characters, which is why we're not hitting the edges of the print bed. So what I want to do is I want to find a way to remove the need for double pulleys. So one of the things I thought about was using an idler, like a pair of idlers, to bring the belt up to the. Hey John, yeah, it's amazing. You're on a plane. You're watching the stream. I wanted to somehow bring a pair of idler bearings so that I could remove the need for a second pulley. If I remove the need for the second pulley, then I can move this. I could make this distance half, moving this rod more towards the edge, and same with all the other the other three rods. All four rods can move closer to the edge, so that the XY characters have another 25 millimeter of travel, which would then bring us right to the edge. So I'm working on that right now. But for the first draft, this isn't bad. I mean, we figured out at least the dimension wise. How much we need, what size, what length rods we need, and so on. So this is pretty much like 80%, probably 70. I would say probably conservatively it's about 70% where we need to be for the top movement. I think I just received a package for the iGuys bushings, so I got to test fit these guys here, and the ones in the spider and the XY carriages. Make sure that they fit okay. So far, the width and the depth of the extrusions are 424 plus 30, so plus 6 to 90, so roughly 500. So roughly it's 500 by 500 square on top to get the full movement on 300 by 300. So give or take 25 millimeters here and there. I might be able to shave out another 25 millimeters. So roughly just slightly under 500 wide. Like, so basically half a meter wide, half a meter deep. So I think that works, and it is a good size enclosure. And though it's kind of big compared to the Haribo, which I think was 370, 380. So roughly another 100 millimeters wider and deeper than the Haribo 3030, but you get a full enclosure. So I think that's worth the trade-off. The what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I'll show you guys the movement again. So it moves pretty well. I mean, like the I have to still make a mount for this Cyclops. I'm debating between the Cyclops and the E3D. I'm kind of leaning towards the Cyclops because I've seen it work where we could use it for dual extrusion with a single tip, like single nozzle, so that you don't have to deal with double nozzles and the dripping. Then all I have to do is sort of work with the firmware to tell it that we're dual motors, and then in S3D is to have two chain strips that will retract one extruder while it extrudes the other. So and then it tells us how big of a waste towel we need. I looked at all the settings. It seems pretty straightforward to use dual extrusion. So I'm leaning towards using a Cyclops or something similar. I looked at a few different Cyclops how to put it, Cyclops ideas, like his or knockoffs you could call them, and they look pretty good. So let me sort of show you guys what idea I had for the idler, so that we kind of get out of Fusion 360 for a bit. So this is generally the idea. So basically, the belt would go around the top of this pulley, go underneath how it normally runs, but hit this flange bearing and go around the stepper pulley, and there'd be another flange bearing on this side to allow it to keep going along the path to the other pulley and come back to the top and loop around the top of this pulley. So basically, this is similar to when I just described this to Leslie. He said this is similar to how MP CNC, the mostly printed CNC, does their belt routing. So basically, the motor becomes closer and in the same plane as the belt, and I don't have to use a second pulley to drive this system. The single pulley here and single pulley on the other side, and the pulley on the stepper is going to do all the work. I just need to sort of, like, I drew this really quickly this morning to sort of like work out the placement of the parts, and I think I got the dimensions. I just have to kind of work it out. So how it's going to look is going to be similar to the one I already did, but it's not very good. This one, double pulley. So maybe I'll show you the sub-assembly instead. So I'll be working on sub-assembly so that I could kind of show you how things look with all the parts attached to them. One of these streams, I'll go through the workflow of how I work, see if it works for you guys. So this is the idea. So let me see if I could kind of turn this order around so that it makes more sense. There you go. So that was the picture I had before. The belt would come in through the top, through this flange bearing, around the pulley, and then out this way. So we basically intercepted the belt and have the stepper drive that belt back and forth and pulling the XY carriage. So the spacing on this one is a little off, and I need to kind of fix it, but this is the general idea. And it's going to be held into the extrusion, and the motor will be right under the extrusion, so there's not going to be a lot of how to put it, there's not going to be a lot of wasted space, so that we can actually use the space underneath it. So like you saw, like basically what's going to happen is the motor mounts here and it's going to go underneath this extrusion. I know that it sort of breaks one of the rules that I wanted to set for myself, which is not using this channel. But what I'm going to do is try to center this mount as much as possible, and basically all I have to do is notch around it. So I will see if I can make the motor kind of not interfere with that panel, but I think it's a good compromise, because otherwise losing 25 millimeter of travel space is versus like putting the motor under there and then having to notch the panel around it. 6.5 dozen, we can sort of figure out what we're going to do from there, but at least I want to get the belt routing working correctly first. Then we can think about how we patch this area here, because the other choice is that I could put this on top, but then again it complicates the belt routing at that point too, right? So I have to kind of like I think by Saturday I should have this figured out. I just gotta kind of work at it. Been kind of busy. Um, so I'll try to put some more time into it, but this is the general idea, is being able to mount that motor down here. So that's pretty much this is the major part that I'm going to be working on for the next day or two, is so that I could get this printed out and try the belt welding and start to order the Masumi extrusions and actually physically print them out and test the fitment. So I think last stream, let's see, let's just get out of here and let's flip to of course I'm not gonna, give me a second, let me change this one. Whoa. Hang on a second. It's never good to change things on the fly, right? Okay, good. Let me remove this print first. I'll leave it. I'll do it later. Want to show you guys this thing. So the belt tensioner. So I got it working. I don't know if I could actually do it reverse now. So it adjusts all the way in. There's about 2.5, 3 millimeter of adjustability in that. And then if you back it out, normally when you back it out, like I said in the last stream, is you would have some tension on here, so then it would automatically get pulled back out. So you can actually even adjust it back the other way to get the tension. So the I had to kind of play around with the extrusion factor and the spacing. It's a little loose now that I printed it differently. So the last stream I talked about it, I printed it with this side down, so it's orientation this way. And the print came out looking pretty good, but the problem was these countersink was giving me a lot of issues. So for this one, I flipped it around and I printed it this way and has support material in here. You can tell it's a little rough in there. So I got to test to see if it still fits. But that allowed me to have a nice outside surface here. But then that made this one a little wider than needed to be. So that's why when I was yanking on this, it's still pretty tight, but I think I kind of adjust the spacing there. But it looks pretty good. This is the other half, so those holes don't require support in them anymore because they're facing the top like this, and the inside is a little rough, but I don't think it affects the fitment of the bushing. So I think it was good. So overall, like I'm happy with it. I mean, if I did that, the belt is pretty tight, so it was just popping off this slot when I was pulling it sideways. But when you pull it where it normally is, there's no issue on it. So this is the normal orientation for it, so it's pretty good. I think we did the motor mount, and I also same thing with the this is a little warped on this side because there's not enough. I don't think I have enough squish on it, but it doesn't really affect it all that much. It still fits pretty well. This is the rigid wad mount, so I think that's the update for. Yeah, this is that other piece. So I was showing you guys this before. So basically, this is what I'm working on. This is one of the earlier versions of it where it's going to hang the motor off like that and run the belt up to these points here for the pulley. I had to kind of play around with that. It's easier to actually visualize it when I print it out, so I had to print them out and see what that makes any difference. Let's go ahead and minimize that, and let's go back to display capture, Cyclops 2. I think I should. So this was one of the ones I was thinking about, and I think it works for us if I could get it working. Is get a good picture of it. So this is the idea, right? Is that there's dual extrusion, both filament will come in, and there's a mixing chamber in here where there's a V slot here where it pushes into a single E3D type heat block. So that, and the inside of that is basically you just have to kind of retract. I think they said about 42 millimeters. We retract it back, and then you push you have the extruder push the other color in, and then you clear out about 52 millimeter on the waste tower, and that should give you like a color change. So roughly, I think it's like 35.90 a set. So this was actually one of the better looking ones. It did come in different colors, so I was thinking trying one of these out, see if it works good. It is also compatible with the Volcano, so you actually slap a Volcano on there. There's a few other ones that look similar, like this is actual Cyclops clone. So same thing here is that we will have two heat breaks going to the mixing block here, and then it allows dual extrusion with a single nozzle. I talked about this last time. Is having dual nozzles is nice. Like some of the guys are doing dual extrusion with dual nozzles. Allows you to have two different temperatures, but the problem is that the oozing of the two, like these guys come with volcanoes, which is kind of funny because they come with a different block, and you can put volcanoes on them. So having dual means that you guys can have some oozing issues. So I don't want to deal with that. So I just kind of wanted to stick with a single nozzle and do extrusion. So we'll see what happens. Like I gotta buy one of these and come back and try it. But most of them are pretty much the same. Like these kits, they come with two E3D style or two volcanoes and the actual heat sink and all the stuff you need for like $50. So I'm gonna try one of these and see if it works out okay. This is what it looks like 2 in 2 out. So you can actually run it like that. So you got two different heat blocks. So but they're all pretty much the same idea, right? And the firmware supports it. So we're gonna try it out and see what happens. This one is actually two in 2 out, either with two E3D or two volcanoes, or you get 2 in and 1 out with the E3D. So these are pretty cheap considering what you get. I mean, you get all the blocks, you get the heat sink, and you get the fan. So and you get two volcano compatible ones. I will try these and see if it works out or not. Let's see. Let me catch up on chat here. Yeah, Steve, it looks like the Cyclops, and I don't think I think like Nilla Beans hasn't been streaming because of the kid, but hopefully he'll get back soon. I mean, it's not like I miss him or anything. It's just that you guys miss him, and we don't have much to talk about when he's not around. So he provides conversational topic for us. So hopefully he gets back. Chat's picking up pretty good. I think the it's getting back into the groove. People are happy with what they got. So um, yeah, I'm heating this back up to kind of get it off the bed. Hopefully I can get it off later. Um, I'm printing the. I got a couple orders I got to print tonight, and then got to get back on that Fusion 360 and finish designing the motor mount. So I'm thinking, like I said, the XY movement, like at this stage, is roughly 70% done in the alpha stage. So once I get the motor mount done, probably Friday. I mean, today's Wednesday. I probably should get it done by Friday. If I get the motor mount done by Friday, I'll redo the animation with the new motor mount. Make sure like all the belt routing and all this stuff is gonna work. The coverage of the spider is good on the heat bed or the slash build platform. If everything looks good, then I'll put in the order for the extrusions and the rods and start printing the parts. I have the pulleys, I have the belts, so I should at least get to the point where um, I could get the movement working physically and move it by hand, and if it works, then pack the whole thing up and send it up to Pat, and he could run the SmoothieWare on, and he could do the firmware configuration while I work on the Z platform, and hopefully by the time he finishes the SmoothieWare and gets it moving on his own power and starts to demo some of the movement, then the Z platform is done. I can bolt it back onto the same frame and we get the Z movement going, and everything kind of falls in place after that. Then at that point is working on the spider, because at that right now, even at that stage, the spider is not going to have mounts for the extruder or anything like that, or the hot end. So we're gonna have to work on the spider. So that's the plan for the next 2 or 3 weeks, is to kind of get the ball rolling a little faster. Um, it's coming up to end of May, so like I said, I wanted to kind of get into alpha by June. So the current schedule is probably um, manual movement by first week or 2 weeks of June, meaning I can manually move it around in a physical model. Set it up to get the firmware configuration done by Pat, and hopefully he gets it back in about by the end of third or fourth week of June, and that buys me time to work on the Z. Then hopefully I could get the Z up to him. He'll get the Z moving, and we are good to go for the first movement tests and first sort of alpha shakedown tests. And if that's good, then he'll keep playing around with it. Probably you could do tests like mount a pen to it and put a piece of paper there and see if it actually draws shapes correctly. Like, if you tell it to move 10 mil, does it move 10 mil, and those kind of tests. Once he kind of figures out things like the steps per revolution for the motors and get all the belts and everything working, starts to kind of give me feedback on fitment of parts and so on. I could kind of adjust those. Then end of June, hopefully, we will be able to start pushing plastic, hopefully. That means I kind of have to work backwards and start thinking about which extruder to use. There was some there was some on my part. There was some thought about using a fine extruder. I think I like that idea. I just kind of figure how to mount it on top. It won't be a true flying extruder. It'll be a suspended extruder. So normally on the, I think I could probably get a YouTube video. Probably show it better. They usually use them on deltas because it's easy. So let me turn down the sound here. So this is generally what the flying extruder looks like, and let me see if I get to the part where he actually uses it. that goes through a lot of setup. Geez, let's go to another one. There you go. That's the flying extruder. So the idea is that we suspend the make this bigger. The idea is that you suspend the extruder on top of the spider, and the weight of it is still on these rods, but you're not introducing artifacts down here where it's heavy. The movement down here is a little bit more exaggerated than here. Here is actually very little twisting movement, but down here is the movement is higher. So having the extruder up higher means it moves less. It will affect the print less. So if I could somehow rig this up on top of the cube, so that it's sitting on top, and the Bowden tube is only going to be like 6-7 inches long, or maybe 8 inches long, to allow movement all around the XY, then that will give a better feed path for the filament than if I had to remote mount the extruder and have a flying like a really long PTFE tube to get to the hot end. So because normally if you look at, like, if you kind of look at the D-bots, right, you see that they're let's see if I could get a better shot of this. Oh, there's a better shot. See, the extruder is here. Oh, let me make this bigger. The extruder is here, and this has to go through this long, tedious path to get to the hot end. So what I'm saying is that if I could somehow make a frame up here that the extruder could sort of sit in the middle of that plane and have a shorter Bowden tube that goes down into the hot end, I basically eliminate about 2/3 of this this PTFE tube. So you're not pushing plastic through like 2 feet of tube to get to the hot end. You're probably pushing 6 to 8 inches at most. So probably that's going to be the way to do it, is put the extruder on top of the cube. So the something that we have to work out, see what happens from there. I think this one shows it too. Like, yeah, see this one. This guy's even. This one is even longer. It goes through here and up. You see it will go all the way up. So see, this is at least a 2.5 feet long PTFE tube that he's pushing plastic through. So I just don't like having that much tube that you're pushing the filament through. So I'm gonna turn the mic and try to get this part off. So hopefully you can still hear me okay. I think for the update, I'm pretty much done for the update. So there's any can't get this off. Baby. Any questions, concerns, questions, topics you want to talk about? I'm kind of not prepared today. I'm sorry, because I went out for dinner and didn't really get much preparation time. So hopefully you guys have something to ask. Yeah, so what I did was I printed these for Leslie last time, and when I was going through these holes with the 8mm drill, I went a little bit too eager, and I punched out the the nut trap. So they were pretty much useless when I got it to them. I had to reprint them, but these look pretty good. I'm happy with them. I mean, you look at the bridging in there. There's no stringing at all. I mean, this is perfect. Like the same with this side. There's actually no stringing at all in there. So so basically, let me move this closer. So basically, it was the somebody's showing. I can show that. Let me see if I can bring it up. It was on Haribo Cube. Yeah. So it was basically somebody showing off the how smooth their slide on the rods. So that was pretty impressive. I thought the guy did a good job in aligning the bushings. So I was just showing like how smooth it was moving. So that was what I stole off of Facebook. That was what happened this morning. So one of the guys was saying that they had I think before this, if I look a little more messages, I think before that they were saying how yeah, this is what the reason why it came up was the show this picture. They had a lot of like layer shift because they were catching and binding on the Y. So every once in a while it would skip, and they were using low power or silent mode. So I told them that go back to high power, and then you know, just check the check that it doesn't take a lot of force to move the Y carriage. And I think he said it was binding a bit. He had to really push it in some spots. So obviously it was some binding. So I told him to kind of look at that video as reference. To with no effort, you should be able to move that Y carriage. So that's why that came out. Yeah, short bolting is always good because basically, and short and as smooth of an arc or as straight as you can, because there's the actual inner diameter of the bolting tube, the PTFE tube, is slightly bigger than the filament. Because otherwise, if it's the same size as filament, you would get have tons of issues, right? So it's slightly bigger. So it kind of wiggles inside. So if you have it too long, that wiggling effect will make jams, and you can't push. It's kind of like trying to use a really long straw to suck water from another cup or far away. So the longer the straw, the harder you have to suck, right? So basically same thing. The longer the PTFE tube, the harder it is to control the movement, and also the more force the step rest you use to push that filament. So you have to kind of think about how we're going to deal with that with the Haribo Cube. But like I said, really at this stage of the alpha is really just to get the basic XYZ movement sorted out. Do some speed tests on how repeatable the movements are, and how fast we can actually push it with taking out the extruder and the hot end out of the equation is how fast we could go. And then we set the benchmark there. Let's say we could go 150, 200 millimeters a second with no printing involved. Then we kind of scale it back to 100 and add the extruder and the hot end and see what kind of print we get out of that, and kind of play around and tune from there. Yeah, all sorts of things like acceleration and jerk and all that other stuff. But I think it will be pretty good because from what I'm anticipating, that having a non-moving bed means you have less mass to move. You're only moving the spider and the hot end. It should be a lot better. I have high hopes for it, I guess you could say. And the going to try to make it as rigid as possible. Then after that is hoping to just sort of start rolling and start improving from there. I guess that's start with a good base and start improving from there. I guess that's the goal, right? So this is ESUN PETG. I've been having pretty good prints with them. The only thing is that I had to go up to 103% flow rate. It does under extrude a little bit still on the bottom, and you can see that. But I probably could go up to 104%, but then like I think it's good enough. This is just the first layer that usually have a little bit under extrusion, but the top layer, actually that's the bottom layer. Sorry, and then the top layer has a little bit under extrusion. So I think I could go up to 104, but I think it's good enough the way it is. It's pretty strong part, and the stringing is pretty nice. Like there's absolutely no stringing at all in the print, and I'm happy. I'm probably gonna pick up a few more rolls of this grade, like I said last time, when I get a chance to. Filmers.ca. I gotta call them tomorrow because I'm really unhappy. They've been out for 2 weeks now. I've been trying to get the red so I could print those XN for the other guy that I on Tindy, and nothing. They've been out, and when I bugged them about it, they said they have it in today. Every other day they say it's gonna be in today. So I'm kind of getting upset. I'm gonna call them tomorrow and say, hey, like you stop jerking me around. What's going on, right? I have orders I can't fill because you can't give me the filament, and I don't have that red. I ran out of that red, so I'm gonna have to get them to send it so that I finish the orders. Printed a lot of spinners and giving away at work, so all these kids are happy. Their parents bring them home custom spinners. I've been buying the local bolt bearings, $12 for 8, which isn't bad. So I got some from China as well, but it takes forever to get from China, so I didn't bother with that. What else is new? Yeah, that pile there. Let me turn this camera. That pile here is still not put together, which I sort of have to one of these days and get it out of the way. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much done for the update. I mean, I don't really have much to say. If you guys don't have much to ask, then we're gonna update on Saturday, I guess. Any questions, topics, suggestions? Anything you guys want to talk about? Maybe go shopping. I think I had a few things on here. Oh yeah. Maybe I could show that. So this is what we are gonna go with for the heat bed. So okay, John, have a good flight. Oh, so there's a couple options for the silicon pad. So two major there's two major things we have to choose. One is, do we use live voltage, like wall voltage? This is 110 volts, so this is obviously plugged into the wall. Or do we go with 24 volts? 12 volt is out of the question because at 300 by 300, 12 volt will take minutes and hours to heat up. So 24 volts or 110/220. That's the first question. Second question is standalone. This is standalone or smoothly controlled. Sorry. The nice thing about smoothly controlled is that the what do they call it? The it allows you to read the temperature. Let's say if you were using Octoprint, which we had a whole discussion on today. If you use Octoprint, then you got to see the temperature of your heat bed, you control it and everything else. Same with if you tether it, and on the LCD, you could actually control that. Standalone, you can't. It's this control box, and basically the control box, if I show it, control box, you set the temperature and everything runs off the control box. Gmax uses a control box because it's easy and because it's an add-on for them. And I'm leaning towards, for my own use, I'm leaning towards a control box with 9 voltage, mainly because I don't have to fuck around with wiring and stuff like that. It's a plug-and-play unit. It comes pretty simple like this. You plug it in, you stick it with 3M tape to the back, and it just works. With if we go to the store, we go with 24 volts. For the products, let's see, heat beds. So let's go with 24 volts. Let's find the 24 volt one. So with something like this, 24 volts, basically the is reversed, by the way. So the white wires in this case is the power, and the red is the thermistor. So the thermistor is in the middle. The white wires go into the heating element. So in this case, it's 24 volts, 240. I think this is 245 by 245, and it basically has mounting holes as well for it. So this is a non 3M one, but you get them with 3M tape, and it basically works the same way. I think this is the one. Basically, same idea, right? 24 volt 3M tape, and you get the two 24 volt input and the red thermistor output, and you stick it on the back, so it works, right? The 24 volt means if smoothly where everything supports 24 volts, you have to get steppers that will do 24 volts. So we could use this as a heat bed as well. So it's really up to. I guess I might leave it as an option. Like basically, you could choose one or the other. For myself, like I said, I'll use a standalone because then I could kind of not have to dig around with it, and it just works. If you want to wire it yourself, then you get 24 volts and you're good to go. So that, and it's cheaper too. It's like 40 bucks versus like 89 for the one with the controller. This just controller I would feel is a little bit more nicer looking, I guess. And then it's replaceable, so I will probably go with that. Let's go shopping a little. I know I've been talking tons about these flange bearings. These are what I use. The 623ZZs. I use a pair of them. So like the flange bearings like that. If you put a pair of them back to back, they become a pretty good belt idler. So let me see if I get this other one out. Yeah, so if you stick them back to back like that, they become a pretty good belt idler. So not too much grease on those. So this one is $3.07 for 10 free shipping. You can't go wrong. 10 of them for $3. Just buy them. I'll put the link into. Just buy those. I bought two. I bought two sets. You guys can see it in the resolution is pretty bad here. I bought two sets, and the other one was this. This is a deal of the century. Two GT2 20 teeth pulleys and 2 meters of 6mm wide GT2 belt. $2.63 free shipping. Again, like I bought two sets because you can't go wrong with something that's less than $3. So again, that one is a good buy. Let's see what else we bought before. This is a little bit more expensive than most of the other stuff I'm telling you guys to buy. $37.94 free shipping, but is a ferrule crimper. I bought one and it's a very good quality one. If you need to crimp, this is one I would suggest buying. Made in Taiwan, so it's quality part. So if you guys need the crimper, this is one I would go with. For the ferrules, for the power connections to the power supply, that's what that is. So I would buy that. That's a good buy. What else did I buy lately? Oh yeah. Oh, we don't have any. Is the store still going? Maybe. Yeah. So searching this store. There you go. 40-watt heater cartridges. These are gonna be the exact same ones you're gonna get with the new hot ends. 10 pieces for $9.43. Basically, works out to 95 cents a piece. I bought. I think I bought 100 of these actually, and I'm never gonna run out of heater cartridges, and those are a good buy. You can look around, you probably find them cheaper, but they're really cheap. I mean, like less than $1 a piece. Like this one's 79 cents a piece, 55. So it depends on the length of the wire and which one you get. But the thing, don't bother getting them from E3D. They get it from China as well, and you kind of cut out the middleman anyway. And magnets, I guess that's the other thing I bought a while back is 100 pieces of 10mm by 3mm fridge magnets. So you can use these to embed in all your stuff that you're gonna build. 100 of them for $10. Like again, you can't go wrong with these. I think me and Clover was working on the magnetic Rubik's Cube, so we're gonna use these for that. So one of these days we're gonna pick that project back up, and I think these are good magnets to buy. I bought 100 of these for $10. We can't go wrong with these magnets. So I guess that's those are the major stuff that I bought. So the go to Anycubic official store. They have I think it was this one. Yeah, it is crazy insane cheap. $164 for a Delta, and I would just buy that just to retrofit it because it is an awesome deal. $164 for a Delta from Anycubic. So if you ever wanted a Delta printer, that's probably the one I would pick up because even if you totally don't like it, you know what? It's only $164. Comes with everything you need and the controller, everything you could probably reuse if you don't like it. You probably take it apart and reuse most of the stuff anyway. So we'll go with that if you want to do a Delta. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm not gonna push too much stuff on here. Oh, yeah, last one. The SC8 UU blocks. I know we had we have the printed one that on the site, but some of these are pretty cheap. Let me find one that's a good deal here. Yeah, this one is a pretty good deal. $8.70 for 4 pieces, free shipping. So $2 a piece. You need a snap ring. I don't know these one. There we go. This one shows it better. So here you need a snap ring pliers, but inside that is actually just a straight LMA UU linear bearing. So you just take the snap ring pliers, take out the snap ring here, slide out the LMA UU, and slide in your I-guess bushing, put the snap ring back, and you're ready to go. I think Patrick sent me one of those. So maybe this way better. So inside there, you probably could see he put the LMAUU in there. Maybe I'll move the camera to it. So send me the carriage with them attached already. So I haven't gotten around to use it yet. So but yeah, that's a good idea. And it was like $8 for 4. You only need 3, but they send you 4. There's slots for 4, but again, like I explained to you guys before, it's just use 2 on one side and 1 on the other. Kind of how the stock goes, and you don't really need 4. So you have an extra one if you ever need it for later. We got more characters, so I gotta send that one back to. Gotta send that one back to Patrick. Well, oh yeah. So I ordered another set of parts for the from Misumi for another Haribo build, and the rods, the 360 and the 370 rods. Even after I complained about the long wait times, it's still going to be September 17th before they're able to ship me those rods. So if you are in the market for Haribo and you need those rods, I would suggest you either go order them now and wait for September, or go with T-Sun, because you're not going to get those rods anytime soon from Misumi. Same with the L bracket that goes on top of the spool holder. The ETA for that is September 15th. I don't know why, but I mean that's quite a long time away to like, that's like what, March, April, May. That's 4 months. That's 4 months from now before you get that particular part. So luckily I ordered 2 before, so they should be on their way. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why they're taking so long for that. Yeah, let's go look at T-Sun since we are here anyway. No, Haribo printer. It's kind of funny. If you look at Haribo printer on AliExpress, it comes up to the store. So I was saying to you guys was this is basically the linear rod set that you need, the 370, the 360, and the 320, 2 pieces, each $38. So if you need the rods, go here for the rods, and same with the extrusions. You get the black extrusion from here, $75 a set, US. So so far it's been pretty good. I think everybody's been happy with them. And like for the Euro guys, I mean, this is a good option since you guys can't get it from Misumi. So this is a good option for you guys. Like I said, I did notice that the black extrusions are a little bit tighter fit than the silver, so your parts might seem a little bit tighter when you try to slide them in. Like if I did the slide test on these parts here, you can't see me now, but if I did the slide test, the parts are pretty good on the silver, but on the black is a little bit tight, so you might find that to have an issue. Donna, what happened to your Haribo? Let's go have a look at the ANET 88. There you go. Maybe time for us to get one of these too. Since how it prints up better than MK2, I heard. So alright. If you guys don't have much to say and don't have much to go by. There's an hour, so we're gonna go. It was a good stream, and I guess I'll see you guys in chat. I'll try to work on the motor mount for Saturday's update, so I can show the new motor mount and the new rod placement. The Saturday noon. That's what I am shooting for. Saturday noon to show off the new movement. Again, for those guys who missed it, maybe I'll go show it off again because I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Let's just do that before we go. There we go. Let's close this, close this, and let's show this off a little. Oh. So right now, like I mentioned in the start of the stream, it doesn't really reach everywhere on the bed. It's sort of about 25 millimeters from the edge because we lost a lot of space to the double pulley. So I'm trying to solve that. So that's the summary of the first part of it. The first part of the stream is that I was showing off some of the ideas that I have to move this rod closer to this extrusion so that we have more travel for the spider to hit the edge. Because right now, I could barely hit this edge and this edge, but the front and back is a little bit of an issue. But the back I can't reach, the front I can reach. So it's about 90% coverage, I would guess, right now. So I'm happy with it, but I think we would go with the I used the, I guess, in the band holders that you were showing. Oh, okay. Yeah, what you did with it. Okay. Yeah, no, it works great in those, and the nice thing about them is that you're allowing them to sort of float inside, and they work really well. So I think I would recommend getting those metal SC8 UU holders and then putting in the I guess bushings in there. Best of both worlds. You can't go wrong with that combination. So and then with the SC8 UU, you could use the spaces that I came up with, so to space up the wide carriage to meet the same height as the stock carriage. So that is already, everything's fixed for you at that point, right? So it should be good. The yeah, like I said, I spent 2 days kind of jigging this up so that it shows the movement. I think I'm pretty happy with it. It shows how it's supposed to move and how it works, and it's a good demonstration of the movement itself, and how clean it's going to be once we get it going is pretty good. I mean, like I'm happy with it, and I think I learned a lot in Fusion 360 in the last couple of weeks. Lots of little kind of tricks and alignment things that I was doing. Like I said, one of these days I'll go through a typical workflow that I use. It might not work for everybody, but it works for me, where I start setting up like sub-assemblies and then assemble the sub-assembly into a current view and then go from there, right? So anyway, I think that's it. I'm not going to mumble on. I'm kind of tired. I'm not going to do much work tonight. Just going to take tonight off, start tomorrow night on the motor mount, and Friday on updating this assembly with the new motor mount, and Saturday show it off to you guys to show that we're ready to go with the movement. So I think it's pretty good. I think, and then I got to test fit the those propeller blocks in here, make sure they work okay, and see if I can find a different way to and update those counterpulls. So that's easy, just moving them in a bit. So yeah, I'm happy with the progress, and I'm hoping that you guys are happy with it too. Until next time, thing. I'm gonna go. It's like 1 hour and 5 minutes, mumbled enough. So I'll catch you guys in the chat. And if you have any questions and concerns, feel free to send me a message, and then I'll take care of it on Saturday. See you guys.